Hello friends, welcome back to i-TUTOR NCERT series. Today we are going to take Class 10 Geography NCERT Chapter 3 Water Resource. Let's begin. 3/4 of our Earth's surface is covered with water, but only a small portion of it accounts for fresh water that can be put to use. So the 3/4 of our Earth is covered with water, but only a small portion is used as fresh water. This fresh water is mainly obtained from the surface runoff and groundwater that is continually being renewed and recharged through the hydrological cycle. All water moves within the hydrological cycle, ensuring that water is a renewable resource. Now, water scarcity and the need for water conservation and management. Given the abundance and renewability of water, it is difficult to imagine that we may suffer from water scarcity. So we know that the 3/4 of the earth, 3/4 of our earth is covered with water, but still we are facing a difficulty for water, or the water scarcity is very high in our world. The moment we speak of water shortage, we immediately associate with regions having low rainfall or those that are drought prone. We instantaneously visualize the deserts of Rajasthan and women balancing many mudcars. Mudcars means earthen pots used for collecting and storing water and traveling long distance to get water. True, the availability of water resources varies over space and time. Okay, so the availability varies over space as well as time, mainly due to the variations in the seasonal and annual precipitation. Okay, so this is mainly due to the variations in the seasons and the annual precipitation. But water scarcity in most cases is caused by overexploitation. Okay, we know humans are overexploiting the nature, so that is the main reason of water scarcity, and also excessive use and unequal access to water among different social groups. Okay, so the main reason for water scarcity are the overexploitation by humans, then excessive use and unequal access to water among different social groups. Okay. The hydrological cycle, fresh water can be obtained directly from precipitation, surface runoff and groundwater. So we know mainly the fresh water can be obtained from precipitation, that is in the form of rain, snow, etc. Then surface runoff and groundwater. Now, is it possible that an area or region may have ample water resources but is still facing water scarcity? What do you think? So look at this. Many of our cities are such examples. Okay, so many of our such cities have areas or region have or cities have ample water resources. They have many water resources, but they are also still facing water scarcity. Why? Because the water scarcity may be an outcome of large and growing population and consequent greater demand for water, the unequal access to it. A large population means more water not only for domestic use but also to produce more food. Okay, so water is not used for only for domestic use but also for the production of food. Hence, to facilitate higher food grain production, water resources are being overexploited to expand irrigated areas and dry season agriculture. Now, you may have seen in many television advertisements that most farmers have their own well and tube wells in their farms for irrigation to increase their produce. Okay, so also the water is mainly used for the agriculture production. Okay, and they use lots of water for the production purpose and to increase their production. So this is also a cause for the water scarcity. Now, it may lead to falling groundwater levels. So the use of wells and tube wells, okay, these may cause to the falling groundwater levels and adversely affecting water availability and food security of people, and it's gradually it can cause the water availability. Okay, it can badly affect or adversely affect the water availability and leading to the food security. Okay, leading to the destruction of our food security. Post-independent India witnessed intensive industrialization and urbanization, creating vast opportunities for us. Today, large industrial houses are as commonplace as the industrial units of many MNCs, multinational corporations or multinational companies. The ever-increasing number of industries has made matter was by exerting pressure on existing freshwater resources. So the MNCs are also created on pressure on the existing freshwater resources. They are also used a lot of tons of water, liters of water for their uses. Industries, apart from being heavy users of water, also require power to run them. Much of this energy comes from hydroelectric power. Okay, so much of the energy comes from the hydroelectric power. What is hydroelectric power? It's the power generation by the use of water, by the help of water. Today, in India, hydroelectric power contributes approximately 22% of the total electricity produced. So in India, the 22% of the total electricity produced is from the hydroelectric power. Moreover, multiplying urban centers with large and dense population and urban lifestyles have not only added to water and energy requirements, but have further aggravated the problem. If you look into the housing societies or colonies in the cities, you would find that most of these have their own groundwater pumping devices to meet their water needs. Not surprisingly, we find that fragile water resources are being overexploited and have caused their depletion in several of the cities. Okay. So far we focused on the quantitative aspects of water scarcity. Now let's consider another situation. Okay, so now we already discussed about the quantitative aspects. Okay, now let's consider another situation where water is sufficiently available to meet the needs of people, but the area still suffer from water scarcity. And this scarcity may be due to the bad quality of water. Okay, so in this case, what is happening? There is sufficiently available meat of water, okay, for the needs of people, but the city but the places still suffers from water scarcity. Okay, so this is mainly due to the bad quality of water. Lately, there has been a growing concern that even if there is ample water to meet the needs of people, much of it may be polluted by domestic and industrial waste, then chemicals, pesticides and fertilizers used in agriculture, and thus making hazardous for human use. Okay, so if there is a sufficient water, if there is the sufficient water available, but still they are facing water scarcity. Why? That is because of the bad quality of water. And this bad quality of water is caused by the pollutants by domestic and industrial waste, then chemicals, pesticides and fertilizers used in the agriculture. Okay, so these are some of the factors or some of the causes for the bad quality of water. Okay, now moving forward, multi-purpose river projects and integrated water resource management. Archaeological and historical records show that from ancient times we have been constructing sophisticated hydraulic structures like dams built of stone rubbles, reservoirs or lakes, embankments and canals for irrigation. And not surprisingly, we have continued this tradition in modern India by building dams in most of the river basin. Okay, so we from the ancient times we also constructed very reservoirs, lakes, embankments, canals, etc. for irrigation purpose, and this trend is also continuing in the modern time. Now, look at this hydraulic structures in the ancient India. In the 1st century BC, Srirangavairpura near Allahabad had a sophisticated water harvesting system channeling the flood water of the river Ganga. Okay, so this is one of the example for the ancient water. Ancient use of water reservoirs and other things. Next, during this time of Chandragupta Maurya, okay, the Maurya emperor, dams, lakes and irrigation systems were extensively built. Okay, so during the time of Chandragupta Maurya, there is dams, lakes and irrigation systems were extensively built. Now, evidence of sophisticated irrigation works have been found in Kalinga, that is in Orissa, then Nagarjunakonda in Andhra Pradesh and Bennur in Karnataka and Kolhapur in Maharashtra. So these are some other places where the evidence of sophisticated irrigation works have been found. Now, in the 11th century, Bhopal Lake, one of the largest artificial lake of this time, was built. Okay, so in the 11th century, the Bhopal Lake was built. And in the 14th century, the tanks in Hauz Khas, that is in Delhi, was constructed by Iltutmish for supplying water to Siri Fort area. Okay, so in 14th century, Hauz Khas, that's a tank in Delhi that was constructed by Iltutmish for the supplying water to the Siri Fort area. Okay. Now, dams were traditionally built to improve rivers and rainwater that could be used later to irrigate agriculture fields. Today, dams are built not just for irrigation. Okay, dams are not just for irrigation, but for electricity generation, water supply for domestic and industrial users, then flood control, recreation, inland navigation, and fish breeding. Okay, so these are some of the uses of dams in today. Okay, what are the uses? First one, irrigation, then electricity generation, water supply for domestic and industrial users, then food control, flood control, recreation, inland navigation, and fish breeding. Okay, see, these are some of the uses of dams. Hence, dams are now referred as the multi-purpose project, where the many uses of the impounded water are integrated with one another. Okay, so dams have many uses, so that's why they are known as this purpose, or these dams are known as or referred as multi-purpose projects. For example, in the Sutlej Bias river basin, the Bakranangal project water is being used for hydro power production and irrigation. Okay, so for example, the Sutlej Bias river basin, the Bagra Nangal project, okay, that's a dam project, and this water is being used for both hydro power production and irrigation. Okay, so there is a multiple purpose. First one is hydro power production, and then it's also used for irrigation. Okay, so that's why the dams are called multi-purpose projects. Similarly, the Hirakud project in the Mahanadi basin integrates conservation of water with the flood control. Okay, so in the Hirakud project, that is in the Mahanadi, it is also used for the integrates conservation of water with the flood control. Okay, so that is the multi-purpose of the dams. Now, multi-purposes project launched after independence with the integrated water resources management approach, where thought of was the vehicle that would lead nation to development and progress, overcoming the handicap of its colonial past. Jawaharlal Nehru proudly proclaimed the dams as the temples of modern India. The reason behind that, it would integrate development of agriculture and the village economy with the rapid industrialization and growth of the urban economy. So the Jawaharlal Nehru, the Prime Minister, he proclaimed the dams as the temples of modern India. Why? Because the reason is it would integrate development of agriculture and the village economy with rapid industrialization and growth of the urban economy. So that's why Jawaharlal Nehru proclaimed dams as the temples of modern India. In recent years, multi-purpose projects and large dams have come under great scrutiny and opposition from the variety of reasons. Regulating and damming of river affect their natural flow, causing poor sediment flow and excessive sedimentation of the bottom of the reservoir. So the dams are also causing many problems. First one is the regulating and damming of river water affect the natural flow, and it causing poor sediment flow and excessive sedimentation at the bottom of the reservoir. Okay, so there is poor sediment flow and the excessive sedimentation at the bottom of the reservoir, and this resulting in a rocky stream bed and poor habitat of the rivers. Then aquatic life also. Okay, so this caused the rocky stream beds and poor habitat for the rivers aquatic life. Now, dams also fragment rivers, making it difficult for aquatic fauna to migrate, especially for spawning. So dams also make difficult to aquatic fauna to migrate, especially for spawning. Okay, because the dams stop their movements. Okay, the reservoirs that are created on the floodplains also submerge the existing vegetation and the soil, leading it to decomposition over a period of time. Okay, so see, these are some of the problems by the dams. Multi-purpose projects and large dams have also been the cause of many new social movements like the Narmada Bachao Andolan and the Tehri Dam Andolan. So these are some movements because of the multi-purpose project. A resistance to this project has primarily been due to the large-scale displacement of local community, because for the construction of these types of dams, they want to remove, or they want to displace a large community or large local communities. The local people often had to give up their land. Okay, and livelihood and the merge access and control over the resources for the greater good of nation. Okay, so due to this multi-purpose project, many people, many local communities have to displace from their land, and it may affect, it may cause to give up their land, livelihood, and also merge access and control over the resources. Okay, so it causes very big problems and new social movements like the Narmada Bachao Andolan and the Tahiri Dam Andolan. So if the local people are not benefiting from such project, then who is benefited? Okay, just think, if the local people do not get any benefit from this project, then who is the benefited? Who get benefit? Perhaps landowners and large farmers, industrialists, and few urban centers. Okay, so these are other benefited peoples, that is landowners and large farmers, then industrialists and urban centers. Okay, now let's discuss a case study. Narmada Bachao Andolan or Save Narmada Movement. It's a non-governmental organization that mobilized tribal people, farmers, environmentalists, and human rights activists against the Sardar Sarovar Dam being built across the Narmada River in Gujarat. Okay, so it's a non-governmental Narmada Bachao Andolan or Save Narmada is a non-governmental organization, and that mobilized tribal peoples, farmers, environmentalists, and human rights activists against the Sardar Sarovar Dam that is constructed or built across the Narmada River in Gujarat. And it originally focused on the environmental issues related to trees that would be submerged under the dam water. Okay, so mainly it focused on the environmental issues, that is, it is related to the trees which are submerged under the dam water. Recently, it has refocused the aim to enable poor citizens, especially the outseas, that is displaced peoples, to get full rehabilitation facilities from the government. People felt that their suffering would not be in vain, accepted the trauma of displacement, believing in the promise of irrigated fields and a plentiful harvest. So often, the survivors of Arihant told us that they accepted their sufferings as a sacrifice for the sake of their nation. Okay, so they said they accepted their sacrifice for the sake of their nation. But now, after 30 bitter years of being adrift, their livelihood have been more precarious. They keep asking, are we the only ones choose to make sacrifice for the nation? Okay, so that is their question. Are we the only one choose to make the chosen to make sacrifices for the nation? Okay, so that is their question. Are they the only one choose to make sacrifices for our nation? Irrigation has also changed the cropping patterns of many regions, with farmers shifting to water intensive and commercial crops. This has great ecological consequences like salination of the soil. At the same time, it has transformed the social landscape, that is increasing the social gap between the richer landlords and the landless poor. As we can see, the dams did create conflict between people wanting different uses and benefits from the same water resources. In Gujarat, the Sabarmati Basin farmers were agitated and almost caused a revolt over the higher priority given to water supply in urban areas, particularly during the droughts. Okay, so the dams are also caused for the conflicts between people. Interstate water disputes are being common with regard to sharing the cost of the benefits of the multi-purpose project. Okay, so the interstate water disputes are still going. Okay, there are also examples for Tamil Nadu and Karnataka in case of the Periyar water. Now, most of the objections to the project arose due to the failure to achieve the purpose for which they were built. Ironically, the dams that were constructed to control floods have triggered floods due to sedimentation in the reservoir. Moreover, the big dams have mostly been unsuccessful in controlling floods at the time of excessive rainfall. So, some dams are mainly constructed to control floods, but most of them can't control the floods because at the time of excessive rainfall. You may have seen or read how the release of water from dams during the heavy rains agitated the flood situation in Maharashtra and Gujarat in 2006. So in 2006, there is a excessive rainfall happened in Maharashtra and Gujarat, and which lead to the release of water from the dams, and it causes flood situation in these two states. Okay, in 2006. the flood have not only devastated life and property. Okay, so the flood is not only devastated or not only not badly affected only on the life and property, but also it caused extensive soil erosion. Okay, so the flood caused extensive soil erosion, and this further affect the agriculture also. Sedimentation also mean that the floodplains were deprived of silt, that is a natural fertilizer, further adding on the problem on the land degradation. It was also observed that the multipurpose projects induced earthquake, caused waterborne diseases and pest and pollution resulting from excessive use of water. So there are other problems like earthquake, and because of this multipurpose project earthquake, then waterborne diseases, pest and pollution resulting from the excessive use of water. So these are some other causes of the multipurpose projects. Now, rainwater harvesting. What is rainwater harvesting? Many thought that given the disadvantages and rising resistance against the multipurpose project, water harvesting system was a viable alternative both socio-economically and environmentally. Okay, so this is important in the socio-economically as well as the environmentally. In ancient India, along with the sophisticated hydraulic structures, there existed an extraordinary tradition of water harvesting system. Okay, so this system also happened in the ancient period. People had in-depth knowledge of rainfall region and soil types and developed wide-ranging techniques to harvest rainwater, groundwater, river water and flood water in keeping with the local ecological condition and their water needs. In hills and mountain regions, people built diversion channels like the gulls or the kulls, okay, of the western Himalayas for agriculture. Okay, so in the hill region of western Himalayas, people created or people built diversion channels like gulls or kulls. Rooftop rainwater harvesting. This was commonly practiced to store drinking water, particularly in Rajasthan. Okay, so the next one is rooftop rainwater harvesting. This is mainly used in the Rajasthan for storing drinking water. In the floodplains of Bengal, people developed inundation channels to irrigate their fields. In arid and semi-arid regions, agriculture fields were converted into rain-fed storage structures that allowed the waters to stand and moisten the soil like the khadins in Jaisalmer and Johadas in other parts of Rajasthan. Okay, so in the arid region and semi-arid regions, the agriculture fields were converted to rain-fed storage structures that allowed the water to stand and moisture the soil. Okay, moisture the soil like the khadins in Jaisalmer and Johads in the other parts of Rajasthan. Now, in the semi-arid and arid regions of Rajasthan, particularly in Bikaner, Phalodi and Barmer, almost all the houses traditionally had underground tanks. Okay, they have underground tanks, or it's called tankas. For what? For storing drinking water. So, in many parts of Rajasthan, particularly in Bikaner, Phalodi and Barmer, almost all houses have underground tanks and underground storage, that is called tankas. This is for storing water, storing drinking water. The tanks could be as large as a big room. One household in Phalodi tank has a tank that has 6.1 meter deep, 4.27 meter long and 2.44 meter wide. So that is a big tank used for storing the water. The tankers were part of the well-developed rooftop rainwater harvesting system and were built inside the main house or the courtyard. Okay, so this is built inside the main house or the courtyard. Okay, so the tankas were built inside the main house or the courtyard portion, courtyard place. They were connected to the sloping roofs of the houses through a pipe. Okay, so these tanks were connected to the sloping roofs of the houses through a pipe. Rain falling on the rooftops would travel down the pipe and was stored in the underground tankas. Okay, so rainwater from the rooftops travel to the pipe and then down to the underground tankas. The first spell of rain was usually not collected. Okay, because this is not clean. Okay, so the first spell of rain was not collected, as this would clean the roofs and the pipes. Okay, so this water cleaned the roofs and the pipe. So this is not used for drinking purpose. the rainwater from the subsequent showers can then collected. Okay, so the rainwater from the next showers or the subsequent showers that is collected. The rainwater can be stored in the tankers till the next rainfall, making it an extremely reliable source of drinking water when all other sources are dried up. So this is used as an extremely reliable source of drinking water if all other sources are dried up. Particularly in summers. Okay, in summer season it's very helpful or it's very useful. Rainwater or Palar Pani, as commonly referred to in these parts, is considered the purest form of natural water. So in these areas they consider rainwater as the purest form of natural water. Many houses constructed underground rooms adjoining the tanka to beat the summer heat as it would keep the room cool. Okay, and also they constructed small rooms adjacent to the tanka. For what? For what purpose? Because the room always keep cool in the summer season. Okay. Now, today in Western Rajasthan, sadly, the practice of rooftop rainwater harvesting is on the decline as plenty of water is available due to the perennial Rajasthan Canal. Through some houses still maintain the tankas since they do not like the taste of tap water. So today, the Western Rajasthan have most of the houses lost the traditional practice of rainwater harvesting, but still some maintain the tankas. Fortunately, in many parts of rural and urban India, rooftop rainwater harvesting is being successfully adapted to store and conserve water. In Gendathur, a remote backward village in Mysore, Karnataka, villagers have installed in their household rooftop rainwater harvesting system to meet their water needs. Nearly 200 households have installed this system and the village has earned the rare distinction of being rich in rainwater. Okay, so in Karnataka, that is Gendathur in Mysore, Karnataka. Okay, they have still rainwater harvesting system and they are always rich in rainwater. Gendathur receives an annual precipitation of 100 mm with 80% of the collection efficiency and of about 10 fillings. Every house can collect and use of 50,000 liters of water annually. From the 20 houses, the net amount of rainwater harvest annually amounts to 1 lakh liters. Okay, so they are collecting a lots of water. Okay, it's around 1 lakh liters. Okay, so that is about this chapter. If you have any doubts, please comment below. For more videos, do like, share, subscribe.